When I was growing up, I spent a lot of time with my mother, who was a stay-at-home mom at the time. If she wasn't watching a soap opera, she always had either the Weather Channel on the television or any other type of news broadcast that she could find. Now, I don't know if she just loved the gossip that she could get out of the news, or if she truly enjoyed staying on top of her current events. Regardless of her reason, her addiction for news had definitely been passed on to me. I have grown to love all types of media, from sports such as Penn State football, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Phillies, to reading editorials in the Sunday morning New York Times. But what I'd like to share with you today is probably one of the more important types of media to me: broadcast journalism. The following will not only show you a brief representation of the evolution of broadcast journalism in America, but will also help me to share with you why I choose to surround myself with news.
It was just a year ago that New Yorkers first beheld the silvery spectacle of Germany's luxury airliner Hindenburg, soaring majestic, encasing 7 million cubic feet of highly inflammable hydrogen. Careful maneuvering by expert hands have all but warped her into the hangar. Motors are idling. All seem ship-shape to the scurrying crew below, when suddenly... In less time than it takes to tell, the scene is one of horror as the ship has slowly sagged to earth and the flames have enveloped the entire...
The German invading force is speeding to capture Oslo. The blow against Norway is launched. Warships loaded with troops, which they are to land. Soldiers wearing life belts, should the vessel be sunk in battle. The naval squadron drives through the waters of the Skagerrak for the surprise attack that transformed the war in Europe. These newsreel pictures are as permitted by the German censorship and were flown across the Atlantic by clipper ship. They show history moving to a fitful climax. They know they're in danger of attack. There is an attack by a British warplane and aircraft fire. They shoot a stream of tracer shell.
Today, a new moon is in the sky, a 23-inch metal sphere placed in orbit by a Russian rocket. Here, an artist's conception of how the feat was accomplished. A 3-stage rocket. Number 1, the booster, in the class of an intercontinental missile. Its weight estimated at 50 tons. The smaller second stage took over at 5,000 miles an hour and carried on to the highest point reached. 500 miles up, the artificial moon is boosted to a speed counterbalancing the pull of gravity and released. You are hearing the actual signals transmitted by the Earth-circling satellite. One of the great scientific feats of the age.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago. Vice President Lyndon Johnson has left the hospital in Dallas, but we do not know to where he has proceeded. Presumably, he will be taking the oath of office shortly and become the 36th President of the United States. Good evening. The world has never known a day quite like today. It faced the considerable uncertainties and dangers of the worst nuclear power plant accident of the atomic age. And the horror tonight is that it could get much worse. It is not an atomic explosion that is feared. The experts say that is impossible. But the specter was raised of perhaps the next most serious kind of nuclear catastrophe, a massive release of radioactivity. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission cited that possibility with an announcement that, while it is not likely, the potential is there for the ultimate risk of a meltdown at the 3 Mile Island atomic power plant outside Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Robert Shackney reports from Washington.
Good evening, I'm Rick Wagner. Coming up on Channel 27 News tonight, Greg Mace will have the latest on minor league baseball possibly coming to Harrisburg. A tentative deal was reached today for an Eastern League franchise. More than 400 jobs may soon be available on the West Shore when this empty lot is turned into a major commercial development, including a shopping center and fast food restaurants. Residents of York are meeting with city council members tonight to discuss a proposed budget. Janelle Stelson will tell us what residents had to say about a proposed tax hike. Cynthia Steele concludes her two-part report on a women's shelter here in Harrisburg, helping women and their families get a fresh start. Now this.
Today, the federal government is closed by snow. It's the people's burden, too, in scores of towns and cities. Highways are impassable, airports unflyable. One of the worst storms in 100 years buries the East. San Francisco gets a high-flying new mayor and frequent flyers who are members of Congress. How not to lead by example, and it's your money.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the blizzard. Let's call it the first blizzard of '96, just in case. This enormous storm, which so many of you know on a personal basis, has buried much of the eastern United States.
Now, before we go tonight, all summer long, people have been asking me, how will you sign off at the end of your broadcast? I've racked my brain, and so far, nothing has felt right. But here's a look at how some well-known anchors have signed off through the years.
Good night, and good luck.
Good night, Chet.
Good night, David.
And that's the way it is, Thursday, August 30th, 1962. This is Walter Cronkite. Good night.
Thank you for joining us. Courage.
Saying good night and good news.
I'm Ron Burgundy. You stay classy, San Diego.
All clear.
I'm not sure any of those will work for me, but if you have a bright idea for a great sign-off, log on to our website at cbsnews.com and tell me. I know we'll have a lot of fun reading them, and who knows, maybe one will actually stick. But for now, all I have to say is, I'm Katie Couric. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you tomorrow night.